Hey, so you want to know exactly how Elite Algo works and what makes it tick, what makes it really good. So this is going to be my review of Elite Algo, and a couple things I'm going to go into is one, what is Elite Algo? How does it trade? And some of the major components of the Elite Algo system. So let's get started right away. So hello, my name is Keenan and I'm the creator of Wall Street Moses. And in this channel, we go over different trading education and teach people exactly how to win in the Forex, crypto, and stock market space. On top of that, I review different trading tools that will assist traders in being more efficient in trading and making trading just that much easier, because Wall Street Moses is our job to help people get to the other side and get to that promised land of being able to have profits, being able to enjoy trading, and really be a master in these markets. So with Elite Algo is a full comprehensive system with multiple different layers that help traders and help them see the markets without them having to second guess on what's going on in the market. Now, this is the Elite Algo website, and I'll have a link to it in the description below, but it trades all types of markets. It trades crypto, it trades Forex, trades options. You could do futures on it. I trade commodities on it as well. And I really like the way it goes, the way that it ticks, because there's a very specific way to really help traders see the markets, help them be efficient in trading. But I want to show you just a couple components of the Elite Algo system. So let's take it to the chart. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually go straight from scratch. So that way you can see exactly how it builds up. When you get the Elite Algo system, and you can only get it through the Elite Algo website, and like I said, I have that link in the description. But even if you try to look for it in TradingView, without you having the subscription, you're not gonna even see it. The way you get it is you'll go into your invite only once you purchase, and you'll see Elite Algo there. So I'm gonna start off with just the algorithm, the main component of the indicator. And there's multiple parts to it. So let's open up the settings. So one thing that I look at when I'm trading or looking at a software is, one, how much brain power could it save me in the process of trading? Because yes, I can look and identify a lot of different things with just a naked chart, but that still takes thinking, that still takes time to actually go about and do that. So when it comes to what I look for three different things. I look for trend of the asset, then I look for where are high points of interaction structure, and then where is the momentum kicking in the market. Those are the three different things that I look for: trend, structure, and momentum. So starting from the top, I like how the Elite Algo system starts with visualization. And what I mean by that is, if I turn on the dashboard, let me go ahead and I like to make it small and just leave it on its regular setting of simple. Then the dashboard pops up and it gives you trend and momentum, and even gives you multiple layers of the trend on multiple time frames. So let me actually increase it real quick so we can focus on that. So it tells you what strategy you're currently doing, where your settings are in the market. We're going to get into that in just a second. Then it tells us what it is suggesting for you to trade. So right now it has a counter trend trade out for a buy, even though the trend is bearish. And it's telling you how strong the trend is, because that can be a really hard component for people to see, is how strong trend is. You may be able to judge where the trend is going, but how reliable is that trend? And there's a lot of different factors and things that go on behind the scenes just within the raw data of the market that really tell you where trend is at and how strong it is. So Elite Algo does a great job of understanding trend and where the volume is happening in the market as volume is going up. And if you can see, since this morning, it made a last dip down, and the momentum shifted back up for the later part of the day. And I can only imagine during London session, you may have something of a breakout coming back up. But the Elite Algo is already ahead of the system, and it's talking about the buy on this particular setup. It's counter trend, but it's showing you that there is bullish momentum, and you can see just by looking at the candles that there's bullish momentum. Then you have the multiple time frames of trend, and this is really important, especially when you're down in the lower time frames, wanting to scalp. If you're scalping on a lower time frame without any recollection of what's going on in the higher time frame, your scalping is not going to be as effective. So having this in front of you while you're scalping, it's going to give you a great idea of where you are in the market and what you need to be looking for in the smaller time frames that are going to be lining up with the bigger time frames. So let's go to the next part of the Elite Algo system. So it's actually, we'll leave the dashboard on, we're just going to make it smaller. So obviously the show signals is going to make appear or disappear this smart sell, smart buy, all the buy signals. You definitely want to always have that on. Well, here's what I like. You have different levels of trading. So you have the normal, which is what I use the most because it gives you just solid entries, and you can calibrate where the market is where the algorithm is looking for in the market to confirm a trade. And then you also have confirmed, and with the confirm, I'm gonna let that load. You're gonna have a different angle to take with the market. So a confirmed trade is your more secure trades. Now these are gonna be really good, especially if you're more conservative in the market. You see how it takes off a lot of the noise as far as how many signals is given and where you're looking to take the trade. But it's not going to give you as much entries as maybe the normal mode is, and that's because that's a more conservative entry. Then you have what's called trend scalper. Trend scalper is one that focuses more on the momentum of the markets. So I like to use trend scalper to confirm an entry for a bigger position. So for example, if I'm on the 1 hour and I'm looking at the market, and let me actually stay right here. If I'm on the 1 hour and I'm looking at the market and I'm seeing that there's a potential sell happening, I want to wait. If I want to get an earlier entry than what maybe the normal mode or confirmation mode to give me, I'll go to the trend scout mode and on a smaller time frame and see that momentum kick in on a smaller time frame, be able to get into it earlier and get a really good position on a bigger trade. So that's something you can take with that, because look at it, let's look at one of the changes. So here was a trend change or a momentum change. I'm going to call it a trend. But you see here, right where they all went green, right about here, on the close of this candle, there was a trend change. Now this is NAS. I wouldn't really trade based off of the 15-minute on NAS on my personal trading, but to say on a Forex pair, that's a very good place to get in on in the 15-minute if you're intraday trading. But if you're going into the markets, you can see that on that small time frame, that change of momentum, and you can get that entry. And you can look for those 2-to-1, 3-to-1 reward to risk entries. So if you're looking here, you can have something. Maybe you go to the low of the last movement and you look for that 2-to-1, 3-to-1. And before it really slowed down, you had a 2.5-to-1 reward to risk. As long as you get the 2-to-1 right there, you made a successful trade. And outside of that initial pullback, you had a really, really good entry. Now, obviously, it's going to be much smoother if you're going into the trend, like where this is right here. So, for example, at the close of, let me show you this candle here. It turned all the way back red. You could have got in at that point, and you still could have got a decent reward to risk. So right at the top, you would have put your stop loss. And then down here, you would have got your 1-to-1, so you would have been in a good trade. And then it went as far as about 1.3-to-1. But, that just gives you an idea Theoretically, I don't really get in on huge candles because that kind of puts you a little bit ahead of where you want to be in the market, but you get the idea. So moving on to the next part, you have the sensitivity. Now this is where, let me go back and switch it to the normal mode right here, because that's going to give you the biggest view when it comes to using the sensitivity. So the sensitivity is how much needs to happen in the market for the Elite Algo to give you a trade. So give you an entry or a signal based off of its many calculations. So the normal is 3. Now for me, the best way that I like to start off, I usually start off with about a 1.7. And then I zoom out. So let me actually do that while that's loading. I zoom out and I see where in the market, according to trend, is it giving me the trades, and is it giving me false signals at that sensitivity level? So if I look at if I go from here over, right, before the trend changed, from here over, I look at the trend. I look at all the sell positions. I want most of them to look like good orders or good positions. So I look here, and this is something that you can do when you first start trading a pair, because with Elite Algo, it focuses on getting you good entries on specific pairs that you have it on, because you don't want to, be going too much back and forth with Elite Algo, because Elite Algo is really good at maximizing a pair. So going into it, these positions look pretty good. Look like I could have just took the trade just based off the entry and made some pretty good money in the markets just taking the signals. Obviously you want to have, some more confirmations, but if you can get a good visual on just the signal itself of the software doing its job, then you have some pretty good settings. Now, what I see is I think I would want to take it up just a little bit as I get into here, because I see that I get a couple later entries right here. Still is pretty decent, but you get a couple later entries here. You don't have to make it perfect, but you can kind of, if you feel like you're getting too many, if you're getting some false signals, you want to take the sensitivity and put it back up. But so I'm gonna do 1.9, just a little bit more, and see if some of those trades actually disappear that I want to disappear. Okay, perfect. So that actually does what I was looking for. That's how you work with the sensitivity. You just kind of play with it based off of what you're looking at on the charts, and go off of there. So I'm gonna put it to 1.6 and just leave it there for a second. I'm gonna show you why in just a second. So going down, there's multiple different areas in the market when it comes to consolidation, when it comes to momentum, volume, a lot of different things. These next 5 components help you filter out the signals based off of when there isn't a good market or a good place in the market to take a trade, or to just give you the best opportunities up front. So the first one is your consolidation signals filter. And what this does is when the market is consolidating, it's not going to give you those signals during consolidated markets. It kind of filters out when the market is kind of left to right. So you saw, I think there was a couple of signals in here where there was a lot of up and down, and it took those signals away and waited for the market to open up more. And those are the signals that remain when the market is giving you a bigger range of motion. The next part is smart signals only, and I'm going to take off the consolidation filter. So the smart signals, these are going to be your more confirmed entries. So you have if we go back to the different settings, if you have the normal mode and the confirmed mode, this is kind of, smart signals only is kind of in between normal and confirmed. So with this, you can get a good number of trades, but still be a little bit conservative of what trades. And I like that combination because it's not going to keep me out of the market too long, but it's going to give me some good opportunities to interact with the markets right there. Then you also have the candle colors. So you can see, you can have it just go based off a trend, and it'll tell you what the trend is just based off the color of the candles. Now, what you're going to see when you first do it is probably not going to look correct, because you have to actually change the candle settings on TradingView for it to show. So what I like to do, I have a template for color bars just in general for TradingView. If you need an indicator to show color better, what you do, you see on here, I take the color out of the body, and then you take off the borders. So that's all you really got to do. Take the color out of the body and disable borders. You can leave the wicks how you like them and continue just off of that. Now, with the candle set up that way, you can clearly see the different colors of the trend. Just red for downtrend, green for uptrend. But you can see that very clearly. So if you were a little bit confused on the way that it captures trend here, you can also see it from the candles. And also the way that I use is I use the trend wave to also determine trend if I don't have the candles as well. So there's multiple ways. You're not going to miss trend with Elite Algo. So going into the next part of it is going to go into momentum candles. And what momentum candles do is it shows you where the momentum is happening in the market. So in a sideways market, what it's going to do is going to show you the gray candles. So that way you know, hey, this is a time in the market where it may not be doing as much when it comes to the market itself. So during those moments, if you're looking for like maybe breakout trading, that type of stuff, it may not be the best time for that. So that's really simple in itself. The next part is high volume signals. So high volume signals is, let me take it off of smart signals because you don't want to put all of them together. I mean, you can, but you'll be really, really specific. But high volume signals only is going to tell you where the volume is kicking in the market. So if you're a volume trader, you trade a lot of volume entry level things, you can use this to maybe confirm your volume trades or confirm breakout trades. So you can even fuse some market structure intraday type trading into this type of software, this type of mode with Elite Algo. So this is something that you can use to see, okay, which way is the volume going? If we're getting a lot of orders in a certain area, I like to have it to where, like, say something like this right here, where you know you're getting downward momentum. Then all of a sudden you have large volume coming in, but you see the candles are a little bit weaker. But then you see it change back to the trend. That's a volume order block, and that's an institutional indication of what's going on in the market. So when I see something like that using this type of candles where it just quickly changes color and changes right back, then those are going to be some really good entries where you can catch some good trades. And as you can see from that point on, it just melts it down. So just something to help out with using volume candles. The next part is you're going to have your risk management. So this is going to kind of give you a trailing stop loss percentage. And, you know, trailing stop losses is, you know, it'll help you kind of give you a guide of where to move up your stop loss. I kind of have my own way of doing it myself, but for someone who doesn't really have a huge risk management plan, this is a very still simple and effective system that you can use. Swing low and swing highs. This is something that I like a lot because I'm a market structure trader. I like looking at the structure of the trade, the structure of the markets before getting into a trade. And a setting that I like to use with the swing low and swing highs, I like to go up to one of the more conservative settings. So it's not giving me counting every little thing. I want to only see the more important stuff. So you see, let me actually take off the take profit indicators. But as you can see, it'll give you the higher highs and higher and lower lows and things like that. I like to look at that because if I don't want to, you know, visually look at it myself, or if someone is not as adapt into knowing where's the low and where's the high. They can use that and trade market structure. And if you're new to market structure, don't really know how to trade it, I'll put a link in the video or a link on the top right card, and you'll be able to see exactly how to trade market structure. And it's the core component of how I personally trade. So combining market structure with this is a very, very effective way to use the Elite Algo system. So let's switch it back to normal so we can kind of see where we like to go with the market. So let's go to the trend cloud. Trend cloud is just going to be this part right here. It shows you, the wider the cloud, the stronger the trend, the thinner the cloud, the more weaker the trend, and what color the cloud is what the trend is. So a red cloud is going to be for downtrend, the up cloud is going to be green. But here is something I always have on, is trend only signals, because I only trade the trend. I'm not really concerned with counter trend trades. I think, me personally, I do quite fine with just looking for the trend and not trying to time the markets for reversals, even though doing a reversal every now and then can be fun. It's also very risky. It's more of an adrenaline pump from guessing the right area. But that's going to give you just the trend, and I like that. Like, this looks like, if we go back, this looks very clean, very, very clean. So I know what the trend is. Like, I know if I see a lower low and I see a sell signal, I might be getting a good area of selling. Very, very simple. That's what Elite Algo makes happen. But the next part, I'm just going to go over just a little bit of the consolidation areas. So for me, I like understanding where my points of consolidation are, so I know what not to trade. And you can paint it as well, so you see how it shows you those consolidation areas. And people like to do break and retest off of these consolidation areas, which are pretty effective as well. To where you wait for example, you wait for the breakout of a pair, so something like this, so you have a breakout and you just wait for the break and retest. So you have a touch right here, you would get in at the close of the candle, and that would have been a nice little move up. Or you can do it with the trend, and you see it breaks out. This is the last downward consolidation. It breaks out of that with this candle, retested here, and within trend it gives you a bigger jump. So that's one way of using the consolidation candles. So like I said, whatever trader you are, this can help you. Now, this is one of my favorites. Very much one of my favorites, and I'm going to end it off with this, is the order blocks. I love institutional trading. And order blocks are an institutional level where the market likes to be at play in the system. So what I mean by that is these order blocks are going to be levels in the market that the market makers or large institutions could be working at. And these levels are very high value, support, resistance, really supply and demand zones. I wouldn't really think of it necessarily support resistance, but more so points in the market that can cause and start a great move. So looking at the chart right now, if I get some momentum coming back down now, looking at the order blocks from here, is this could be a good area to sell. But if it breaks that, which I think it will, I really love this area for my next level of selling in the market. And once I get there and I see some wicks like this, I'm selling. So having that on is probably one of my biggest things with Elite Algo, having the trend only and having the order blocks with the high lows and lower highs. That's my personal method. Like, this is the way that I particularly trade Elite Algo. But other than that, the rest of the settings is pretty self-explaining. So you have your demand boxes, you have your, just your colors that you want to use. But that's basically the entire for the Elite Algo. The last part of Elite Algo is just the oscillator, and the oscillator just helps you out with seeing divergence and momentum in the markets. So One way that I like to use it is I see something like this where I have bearish divergence. So after that bearish divergence is I look for my next sell signal, and after the divergence I take the signal, and that's a great trade. So for example, I look for another bearish divergence right here. So you get a bearish divergence right after you get a sell signal from here. So from here down, that was a pretty good solid move. So that's why I always keep that on there as well. And then and another way is when I see that, this may be counterintuitive, but it's very effective. I see that the green bar has made its way up, but the trend hasn't changed. And then I get a, like it has to go high. But then I get another sell signal after it peaks. That's a great way. I think of it like a roller coaster. It gets really high, that means it's gonna come down faster. That's the way I look at it. But this is the complete walkthrough of the Elite Algo mode. Like the oscillator is pretty self-explanatory. It has multiple levels of the time frame, and then from there you can see more types of divergences. You can change the period on the elite breakout filter. So a lot of different things you can play with here, but the main thing is the Elite Algo. I like it. I think it's a 9 out of 10. Now, what would make it a 10 out of 10 for me is if we could get color changes for bullish and bearish candles in the trend candle mode. Like I'm not a fan of it being all one color. I like seeing, like, it could be a different color set. So it could be a darker color set for bearish, it could be a lighter color set for bullish, and I can still see the bullish and bearish candles within the trend. Other than that, this is a well-made, very comprehensive system, and just off the indicator itself, you can get a lot of opportunities in the markets. All right, in this video, we're going to be going over exactly how to use the Elite Algo market structure strategy. And I really like this strategy because it's going to be very simple and very effective. Market structure is one of my specialties when it comes to trading. I'm going to show you exactly how to combine that knowledge with Elite Algo to get a killer strategy. So let's get right into it. So with Elite Algo, this is the way we're going to set it up. This is the final picture of what we're going to set it up. I'm going to walk you through and break it down step by step of what you do. So let's take away the charts, and we're going to walk you through it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up your Elite Algo and your Elite Oscillator. If you don't have Elite Algo, what you want to do is click on the link in the description, and that's going to help you get access to Elite Algo. It's a private indicator, so you have to have access to it specifically so you can use it, and that link is going to get you that access. So click on that and you'll get it. So right now we have the default settings of Elite Algo. You notice that I have the Fibonacci candles open. You want to make sure that you open them by clicking on this indicator here. If you don't see it, you can click on the arrow and it'll pop up right there, Fibonacci. Also, what you want to do is go to your chart settings and unclick the borders. So now that you've done that, your chart looks similar to this. I know I use the dark mode. Some people may use the light mode where there's a white background here. But all in all, it'll look similar to this. Now, this is how we set it up. So we're going to start with the Elite Algo main system first. You want to go ahead and enable the dashboard and change the size to small. That's the first step. Then we're going to work our way down. And what we actually want to do is we want to unclick the signals, but you still, the show signals, but you still want to use the sensitivity. We're going to actually bring the sensitivity to 1. Then as we go down here, we're going to check the candle colors. You want to make sure you have that checked, and also enable swing highs and swing lows. The setting that I use is 13. And then you want to also uncheck all of the take profit because we're not going to be using that. The trend cloud we want to use, and basically you want to leave the trend cloud as default setting. And then from there, that will complete what you do with the Elite Algo. So just make sure you have your color candles and your enable swing high, swing lows. Those are going to be the main components of what you're using with Elite Algo. Also, the sensitivity is very important. So we got that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the oscillator. We're going to make a few adjustments here. So the first adjustment is we're going to take the period, change to 7, 13, and 21. Actually, 8, 13, and 21. 8, 13, and 21. Want to make it just a little bit less sensitive. And then you're going to change the Elite Stochastic, and we're going to put it on trend mode. So that's going to change the look of the oscillator itself. And this is what you'll get. So right here is actually going to be the completed setup of the Elite Algo market structure strategy. So this is going to be the strategy details, the strategy rules. So with market structure, when it comes to your trading, you want to trade within the trend. The trend in regards to market structure is going to be a collection of higher highs and higher lows. So that's going to be for an uptrend. So you'll see higher highs and higher lows. When I was new, you couldn't really, it was very hard to understand where the highs and the lows were, what was considered a high, what was considered a low. So Elite Algo does an excellent job of doing that for you. So with a uptrend, going to be Elite Algo, you're going to see the higher highs and higher lows. And that's what you're going to be looking for on an uptrend. On downtrends, you're going to see lower lows and lower highs. So the optimal point for you is to try to trade after a higher low is created for an uptrend. So you got in that point here something similar to that, or trading when there's a lower high present for a downtrend. So after that is completed, that's what we're looking for. So if we take the drawings away, we're going to look just at the Elite Algo Premium, the Elite Algo Oscillator. What you want to look for is those higher highs and higher lows. What we do is we find a higher high, we see that, and then we're waiting for a higher low to form. What you want to see when you're looking for that pullback move, so for a higher low, that's going to be for an uptrend. For a lower high, that's going to be for a downtrend. You want to see the Elite Oscillator change colors along with the candle change colors into the counter trend color. With this being an uptrend, the counter trend color will be red. On a downtrend, the counter trend color will be green. So when the Elite Algo Oscillator changes color, that's letting you know that this pullback is a real pullback, and there's quantifiable data proving that. Because after a real pullback, you want to catch the trend in the continuation form. So after it pulls back, you're trying to catch that next extension move up. So a higher high, wait for a pullback and let this higher low be created. It'll pop up that label when it's confirmed, maybe a candle or two after. Then the very next thing you want to look for, and this will be your entry, is you want to enter when the candle changes color and closes. With that example, it would be this candle, because you have a higher high, a higher low, and then the candle changes colors. So your setup would look like this. You have a stop loss. Your stop loss is going to be below the candle that gets labeled with the higher low. So that would be this candle here. See, it has the lower point there. And you want to do a few pips below that. So we bring that to here. And then for your take profit, I like to go for a 1.5 to 1 for my take profit 1. That's something that I do personally. Some people do a 1-to-1, some people do a 2-to-1. For me, I like the 1.5-to-1 for take profit 1. So when it hits take profit 1, I close out of 50% of my position. When I go to take profit 2, my take profit 2 is 2.5-to-1. Some people like to do the 2-to-1 for take profit 2. I like doing 2.5-to-1. And you can measure it out using this tool that's on TradingView. So that would be my other 50% of the position. So it's very simple. One thing you want to make sure is that just double checking the order itself is you want the higher high to form and then the higher low to form. You want it in that order. You don't want to just pick random higher highs and lower lows. Like say, for example, let's see if I can find a qualification that doesn't qualify, or a trade setup that doesn't qualify. So you have a higher high here. You see how this creates a lower low. Not only it creates a lower low, it creates a second lower low before the color changes. Now, in this example, it's still a winning trade, and there's other reasons why. Like, for example, seeing this divergence, that helped it become a winning trade. But for most cases, say we go and we find a scenario where that doesn't line up correctly, and you're seeing just me trying to find a scenario that doesn't work, it's pretty hard to do. And that's why this strategy is really, really good. Not a lot of scenarios. You got the lower lows, lower highs, changes colors. That would have been a winning setup, but not a winning trade. A qualifying setup, but not a winning trade. See higher highs, higher lows. That's against the trend. But there's not a lot of losing. Honestly, there's not a lot of losing trades when it comes to this, which is why I like this strategy so much. So maybe I have to go to a different pair to find an example. Let that load up. Find an example where you have a higher high and a lower low, and we're still not finding it. So that's why this strategy is pretty good, because it's pretty hard to find the setup that doesn't work. Now, obviously, it's not going to be 100%. But in this example, in this video, there's not many scenarios where I'm seeing where it's not working. So you see, like right here, we have a lower high followed by a lower low. It changes color, you still get pips off of it. But in real life, you're not going to catch a bunch of pips on every trade that you take. You're going to have some losses. So let's just take it with that and move forward. But as you can see, very simple to understand as far as how to enter. And you see where you put your stop losses. Your stop losses are always going to go where the labels are. And you follow that, you go for your reward to risk, and then there's your trade. So it makes a very complex, that's why I like Elite Algo. It makes a very complex scenario, a very complex trading system. And it took me years to understand market structure in a very high level way. It takes something like that and simplifies it, puts it to you in black and white, in this case, green and red. It makes it very easy. The dashboard makes it easier. It lets you know what the trend strength is. It lets you know what the trend is. It lets you know, the trend on other time frames. So that way you don't have to go back and forth like how I had to do when I was starting out trading, going from time frame to time frame just to make sure I'm in the right place in the markets. In this video, we're going to be going over the fast trend cloud strategy. And that's using the fast trend cloud component of the Elite Algo. So if you're someone who wants to have a strategy where you can have a really precise entry and use Elite Algo in a really high professional manner, then this is going to be the video for you. I'm going to show you exactly how to use this strategy. You'll go into invite only and you'll see the Elite Algo system and the Elite Algo oscillator. So as you can see, it doesn't look the exact same as when I first started this video. That means we have to make some changes because it's not going to be the default settings that you're going to use to get this strategy. We're going to have to make a couple changes. So the first thing is you want to enable the dashboard. All you need is just a simple dashboard. You can put it normal, you can put it at small. I like to use the small size. Obviously, you want to have the show signals. And then the sensitivity, I like to do 1.4 for sensitivity. The other thing that you want to do is go down and then make sure you have your trend cloud active, but also you want to have your fast trend cloud active and your trend only signals active. Now, when you're live trading, you want to go ahead and enable support resistance, but since the support resistance only measures out what's the live market, and we're doing some back tests kind of a little bit behind the live market right now, I'm gonna leave that unchecked. But if you're trading live, check it so that way you can use that as your ranges when you're trading. So that sets up the Elite Algo system for what you need on the algo side. Now on the oscillator side, you want to change the oscillator from trend mode to elite breakout filter. Leave it at the default settings after that. The next thing you want to do is go into the settings of the time frame, and for the trading itself, you want to use either the 15 or 30 minute. I haven't really got to test the strategy on the scalping level. Maybe it'll be a great scalping strategy. If you come to scalp it and you like the results, definitely put it in the comments. But 15, 30 minutes is optimal for this strategy. The next thing that you want to do, and this is getting into how the strategy works, is you want to trade with the trend. Trading with the trend in this strategy is going to give you a better chance at getting in at the right time and also getting in the right momentum of the market. The trend is going to help you get the better accurate trades. Now, with the dashboard, the dashboard is going to help you see where the trend is, how strong the trend. You'll see the 15 minute, you'll see the 1 hour, you'll see the 4 hour. You want at least the 15 minute and the 1 hour to show the trend of the trade that you're trying to make. And then the trend itself, you'll want this trend strength to be above 40%. Because if it's below 40%, most likely the market is consolidating and not really moving in a great manner. So you're not going to get the best accuracy on your trades, or at least the trades are not going to be as clean when you're not trading while this trend is weak. So the first step of the strategy is to identify the trend, and we just went over that. The other way you can do it is you can use the trend cloud. The trend cloud is red, and this is the big trend cloud. That's going to be a downtrend. If it's green, it's going to be an uptrend. So here's where you start to identify the trade. You see the fast trend cloud. You see how it's green here. When it's green, all you need to know is that you're waiting for it to turn red if you're in a downtrend. So it turns red, and let's actually zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. So it turns red, and from there, you're waiting for it to pull back after it turns red. So you have your green here, it turns red, and then you want the price to pull back into where the fast trend cloud is. After it does that, you want it to either be gray when it does it, or it can be red if you're selling. So if you're selling, it could be gray or red. You don't want it to be green. The breakout filter, you don't want that to show green. You want it to be gray or red. So when you have that and you literally, trace it, it gets back into that cloud, and then you see at the time of the cloud, it's gray, you can get into that trade. Now, if you want to be more conservative, instead of waiting for it to be just getting into the cloud, you can also wait for it to turn red and have your first candle that has the red breakout filter trigger here. So trend, You want the candles to match the trade itself. So obviously you want to get in on bearish candles for a sell. But as far as the trend cloud, you want it to be the opposite trend. Go into the trend color, then wait for price to pull back into the trend cloud, the faster one, the smaller one. And you can trade it when it touches it, or you can be more conservative and trade it when it turns red here. So we look at it on this one, and you see how it turned green, it turned red, and then we waited for that pullback. And then from here, you could either trade it at the gray right when it touches it like that. That would have been pretty good. Or you could wait for it to turn red. So it would have turned red here, and that could have been your trade. So it's a little bit more on the intermediate side with this trade, but it has a series of confluences that align with different aspects of concepts of the chart that'll give you the best chances of winning using the strategy. And the reason that we're waiting for these pullbacks or it to turn green and turn red is you wanted to eliminate the possibility of an upward trend starting when you're looking for a sell. And that's what this is doing. Then when it turns red, it is confirming that this trend is not going to happen. And then from there, like a lot of times when it turns red, it may be too far down where you want to trade it. So the best thing to do is to have it wait until it gets back into the area of the trend cloud. And that's going to give you another high point to sell at, because you want to sell high and buy low. So when you are actually finally making that sell, let's use this for example, the first trade we identified, you would have sold right here on this candle. So that candle would have been the candle that you sold on. You can do one of two things. You can have your stop loss be at the last high. So be right here, and then look for either a 2-to-1 or a 2.5-to-1 reward to risk. So for every $2 you're risking, you're looking for $4. Or you can do a straight number, and maybe for the euro US dollar on the 15-minute, because it's based on the pair and the time frame, the best fixed number stop losses. If you have a 20 pip stop loss, that's a reasonable stop loss for a 15-minute euro USD trade. And you can have a 35 pip take profit. You can just go off of that, or even have a 30 pip take profit and do 2-to-1. All right, in this video, we're going to be going over how to trade Fibonacci with the Elite Algo strategy. And with Elite Algo, it makes it a lot easier to figure out where your Fibonacci points are and where your points of entry are, to where you can have a clear, more precise trading experience and have that equate to making more money, to being more profitable as a trader. So let's get right into it. The Elite Algo, I love it because it gives you different turning points in momentum. And being able to understand that, especially when you're a new trader, being able to have that done for you is highly valuable, because you could be guessing for hours on the charts, not making any money, not making any sort of progress in your trading experience. But with this strategy, you'll be able to pinpoint exactly where and when to analyze and execute in the markets. So let's go over a few rules. So obviously, Elite Algo is a trend trading software. So you're going to be trading with the trend. That's going to be rule number one. Rule number two is when you're trading with the trend, in an uptrend, you have a series of higher highs and higher lows. Something like that. In a downtrend, you have a series of lower lows and lower highs. When I was a new trader, it was hard to figure out where were the higher highs, what was a higher high, and how to identify which candle is the high or the low, and it was really confusing. But with this, you'll be able to tell exactly how to do it. So let's show you how to set this up. So you want to go into your invite only scripts. This is going to be Elite Algo Premium Indicator. You have to have access to this indicator privately to be able to use it. The way you'll get access is I'll actually put a link in the description so you can get access to Elite Algo. It's highly worth you getting access to it because it's probably the best trading indicator in all of TradingView for the entire system. So you have that, you're going to go in and put Elite Algo and Elite Algo Oscillator. That's what these two things are. The second thing you want to do is normally most people have it on like candlesticks with Elite Algo. But what you want to actually look for is you want to actually change it to the Fibonacci candles. That's going to be this icon here. So with the Fibonacci candles, it'll flow more smoothly with the Elite Algo system, and you'll be able to execute faster using it. So going into those candles, and we were looking at kind of going back, looking into a few trades, just kind of back testing it. But you're going into that. The second aspect is you see when you're going into setting up the Elite Algo Premium Indicator, there's a few things you want to do to get it to look like it mine. First thing is normally people have the dashboard enabled. Uncheck that. You want a clean chart with this strategy, and show signals. People can, do it for that. The reason I don't do show signals on this strategy, you see right here where you have the buy signal coming in on the higher low labeling. For me in this strategy, the higher highs and lower low labeling is going to be way more important than the actual signals, and I'm going to show you why. So I unchecked that. The other thing is you want to make sure you have your candle color set to enabled. You don't have to worry about any of the other candles. And then as far as the sensitivity, just want it at 1. You want it to be a little bit more sensitive with this strategy because you're looking for high velocity execution. Then the most important thing is you want to enable the swing highs and swing lows, and you want to leave it at 10. Normally the default is 10. I've messed with other settings and I feel that this is give you the best midpoints to get the most important highs and lows in the market. You don't really want to have your take profits or anything like that on, at least while you're looking for a trade. You could turn them on after you take a trade on a pair, but at least while you're looking for it, you don't want that extra noise. And then the other thing with this is some people use trend lines. I don't really use them. And you want to make sure you have your trend cloud on. That's going to be really important. That's this cloud cover right here. Now for the Elite Algo Oscillator, you want to have it on a chart. You want to put it in trend mode, and you want to actually check your hidden bullish and bearish divergences. So that way you can see more divergences in the markets. The other thing is you want to have your moving average type be EMA, and you're going to change the periods to 8, 13, and 21 and leave the stochastic at 17. But the main thing here is going to be your Elite breakout filter, and that's going to actually change the trend mode within Elite Algo Oscillator. So now that you have that set up, it's going to look just like this. Now, obviously, if you don't know what Fibonacci is, I have a separate video that I'll link to where you can see what Fibonacci is and how to use it. But I'm going to show you really simple how to really put it together. Fibonacci is going to be right here. And these are just basically lines or measurements that the market likes to respond from. When you're drawing a Fibonacci on a downtrend, you want to draw from the high to the low, and you see it makes it real easy, Elite Algo, because Elite Algo is going to give you the high to highlight and the low to highlight. So I see this high and I see this lower low. So with the Elite Algo, you want to have a downtrending market when you're doing the downward Fibonacci's. Have a downtrending market, and you want to have it on a high, and you want to make sure you're bringing it down to a lower low. You see here, you have a higher high going into a lower low. That's good for trend reversal. So this, you see how the trend reversed during this segment, changing from a higher high to a lower low. But you're able to see where to put the Fibonacci. The second aspect of the Fibonacci is that you want to have your Fibonacci ratio set up. Usually default, you're going to have your 38, 5, 618, and 76. I like to change to 76 to 71. I found that to be a better level that gets more reactions in my experience. But with the Fibonacci strategy, the Fibonacci's are almost like your price levels or support resistance, however way you want to conceptualize it. And what I'm doing is going off of the high and the low, and I want price to bounce off a Fibonacci point. So looking here, price had bounced off the 38.2 right here. Price bounces off of that, and simply what I'm looking for is for price to change color and close. So I get trend, I identify my Fibonacci's using the highs and the lows that Elite Algo gives me. I wait for a retracement or a pullback to react off of a Fibonacci point. And then once that happens, I just look for the confirmation, which is the change of color and closure of the candles. That's what you're looking for in this strategy. As far as your trade management, what I would recommend is you have your stop loss. It can depend on how you want to do it. You can have it, the first one would be above the high or the labeled candle. So if you're trading off of a lower high for a sell, you want to have the stop loss right above that. And then you want to look for at least like a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-5 reward to risk. So that way you have a positive reward to risk ratio, at least for take profit one. If you're a little bit more advanced and maybe you have more comfortability, you can minimize your stop loss by going below. If it's a bigger candle like this, you can go above the high or the open of that downward candle, or below the open of an upward candle if you're doing a buy, and I'll show you a buy example. So with this one, I'm able to minimize my stop loss and go just off of that trigger candle and just go into the zero part, or just looking for whatever is a 1.5 to 1 off of my stop loss that I chose. That's what I play off of, because for this strategy, the stop loss dictates my take profit, because I'm looking for certain reward to risk ratios. So that would be the instance of a sell. And I went a little bit fast to go over the entire concept. We're going to break it down and we'll do one more example to where you'll have a easy depiction of what to do. So another thing we're going to actually go on an upward, go for the uptrend. So on an uptrend, you want a high point to be a higher high, and then you want to trade off of a higher low. So one thing that I'm looking for is we're going to use this example here. It's actually not the cleanest example. You see, this was kind of consolidating. We find a cleaner example, and then we can go over maybe the rougher examples afterwards. Alrighty, so price from here went and made a higher high, and then from price on that higher high retraced and went down to the 61.8. Now, a side note, this could be an additional confirmation. If you see divergence happening on the oscillator after that price reacts off that Fibonacci, you can take it right at the close of that candle. So that would have put your entry somewhere in here, and that would have been a nice entry. If you need a little bit more confirmation, you can wait and take the entry after the candle changes colors. Now in this example, we're just looking at the fact that you're drawing your Fibonacci from this higher low to this higher high. So you have two of them. They're both in the same area as far as where they end up. So it didn't matter which one. But if you're looking and you have this happen and they're not at the same area, pick the one that is the most recent. You get your higher low. Your higher low gives you your opportunities. Like, okay, now we have a higher low that's been created, and now we're looking for our buy. And on this one, you would have had your buy here. Now you can see this was a losing trade, but the setup, the execution was correct. You had an uptrend, you had a higher high followed by a higher low. You had your Fibonacci respect, and then a change of color. Every trade, no matter what type of trading strategy, is going to have losing examples, but the execution on this example is exactly what you're looking for as far as getting into your trade. Let's go back, let's change instruments and just kind of go fresh look. So going completely fresh, see it right away. So uptrend, I'm gonna go from this higher low. Go from this higher low here to this higher high. There. Bring it in a little bit so it can match up with where the points price is. So you have your higher low, you draw up to your higher high. It gets right on that Fibonacci, only a few pips away. I can still count that. And then all I'm looking for here is a change of color and closure, which happens on this candle. So now on my buy position, it could look something like this. I can have my stop loss go below this low where this wick is, go a little bit below that wick. And I can go from my 1 to 5 or 1 to 1 or 2 to 1, whichever one you like. And that'll be my take profit. Now, some things I do like to do to just kind of maximize my profitability is I like to be able to do twin trading. So that what I mean by that is instead of opening up one order per setup, I open up two orders. The first order does my 1 to 5 reward to risk, and then my second order can do a 2 to 5 reward to risk, and then I'm trailing my stop loss. I have another video on twin trading that I can recommend to you, so that way you understand that type of trading. Don't have a lot of time to get into it right now, but for people who traded for a while, it's just opening up two trades, the second trade having a bigger reward to risk than the first trade. So that way you can maximize your profitability in your trading. But this is exactly how you use the Fibonacci strategy with Elite Algo, and Elite Algo just makes it very simple to get into those trades, to understand where you're looking at, where you're putting your Fibonacci's, because when I was new, it took me a long time to figure out exactly where to put Fibonacci's, and I liked it, but I didn't know how to use it. With this, it makes it a lot easier to use, and you just follow the guide that Elite Algo gives you. So that's your trading strategy. If you have any sort of divergences within Elite Algo, then you can use that to add an extra confirmation to your trade, and you'll feel a lot more confident in trading it. But this is the Elite Algo Fibonacci strategy. I hope that this helps, and I'll see you at the next video.